Hey everybody, hi, very good morning. So it's our ninth day of reading challenge for 91 days. So very welcome. So as with this challenge, I have taken another challenge which is editing skills learning. So I'll give every day 2 hours and will upload its summary. In summary, in the sense, I can upload like in a week, I can upload in every day, I can upload in 2 day, 3 day, but I'll like keep the things in videos for every day. Like whatever I have learned for every day, that I'm going to keep in. I'm very much like having allergy, and just because of that, like I'm not able to concentrate myself properly. I can't say concentrate, but it's the like problem. That is the only thing. It is not problem. I mean, like it's yeah, it's a problem actually. You can see like I'm not able to like even speak properly. So the thing is that yesterday I started working on my challenge, which is editing skill. Like I gave my 2 hours to my editing skill. Like I learned related to OBS, I learned related to thumbnail, I learned related to like how we can arrange all the things in CapCut. I'm for now I'm learning on CapCut software editing skill, but besides that, I'm going to learn DaVinci as well because it's advanced editor software. So I really want to learn that. If I'm an editor, then definitely I should know about that. So that is why like I'm going to learn about that. Besides that, today, like the thing is that very awesome. Today only I'm going to read. As you can see my screen, on the screen I have like separate screen. It's of iPad because I have like connected iPad with it and managed all those things I was learning related to this only yesterday. This only yesterday in my that 2 hour learning skill. So I learned to set up all those things. It's now set up, and we are good to go. Today I don't have very much to speak. Like I don't know, like I didn't thought of anything. Everything is going good. Literally it's going good. I guess there are some subscribers who is getting like who is new here, might be, so very welcome if they are watching. So the thing is here that it's going very awesome. I am feeling some changes, I'm feeling motivated of myself. Yeah, there is one thing that I really want to say about that. Yesterday I slept around 3 o'clock, even though I wake up early in the morning around 7 o'clock, because I was known about that if I'm not gonna wake up early in the morning, then might be I will miss my live streaming. But it's not like that I'm gonna miss my live streaming. Now I could miss it in the morning, but I would have done it in afternoon as well, because it's my challenge. I can't skip any of the day. I can't say that it's okay for today, I'm gonna do it tomorrow, because we are going to give wrong message to our brain. That shouldn't be. We should always be careful about our thoughts and our talks. What we say that depend what we say that our brain captures it as it is. So we should be really careful about it, that whoever is listening, not whoever, our brain is listening, and whatever we are saying, that should be in positive way, in the sense that should be in our like there is one word I'm not getting. There are lots of words that I don't know. Like I'm trying to learn English as well. Like somewhere in the mind the thing is comes things comes to say, but for that particular sentence or feeling or message, I don't have a proper word so that I can convey. So it happens sometime, and sorry if I'm gonna Like if I'm gonna see the mobile phone in between, cause there is one important message, that message in the sense call I have to pick, if it could be, but let's see how it goes. Might be I'll skip that if it comes late, then I'll skip. But yeah, definitely. For now, our complete focus will be toward our reading challenge for 91 days. It's 9th day, which is very awesome, and it's a very great day. So let's begin our reading session here. Reading session or live streaming. So whatever you prefer to call it, but it's amazing to work on yourself every day, to reflect on your past, to see yourself growing. It's definitely good thing. So I'll read loudly so that you can also hear. Mm. So we were reading here. Today won't be having any dictation so that you can see line by line. But I'm starting the paragraph, and I'll finish the paragraph. You can also take a look at it. It's not very difficult. You have just to pick the phone and you have to see it. That's it. So let me start reading. Even if we haven't suffered repeated or life-threatening trauma, implicit-only memories can become prisons that constrict our lives. One of the most striking examples of this is my patient Alan. Alan was a 26-year-old graduate. A year old graduate student who came to me about her anxiety over finishing school. She told me right away that she feared she would fall flat on her face if she accepted the job offer she had already received during her final semester. Over the next few weeks, I tried several approaches to her fear of new challenges and her insecurities about the competitive job market. She was politely receptive to my ideas but remained stuck and frozen. Something about the way she had described her family, fall flat on my face, had lodged in my mind, but I didn't know what to make of it. One day, when she was telling me yet again about her fears about finances and logistics, I suggested she become aware of her body. She paused and then began to shake. She grabbed her arm and said, "Ouch! What is going on?" I asked her to just stay with the sensation and see where it took her. The pain moved up her arm and into her jaw. She then grasped her mouth, started to cry. Soon she was describing what was going on in her mind. She was 3 years old and had fallen off her new tricycle. Then she remembered explicitly that the fall had broken her arm and fractured both of her front baby teeth. She and I were both startled by the intensity of her bodily sensation, which she experienced initially as just pain and not as a recollection. Uh, so, I just wanted to check that everything is going good. Yes, everything is going good. Let me see it correctly. Alan's arm had healed, and the accident hadn't affected her adult teeth, but it did affect her adult mind. It had created an implicit mental model or a schema, coupling. Let me check its pronunciation.
Coupling. Couple. Coupling.
Oh, I'm not getting it.
Coupling.
I'm not getting the sound. I don't know why. Just because I just getting connected with it, I
Coupling.
guess.
Coupling.
It is saying, but I'm not able to coupling. Sometimes it's difficult.
Coupling.
I need to check. Just give me a minute. I'm gonna check. input, exit, output, voice over. Okay, let it be for now. I'll figure it out after this because I didn't check this. I'm getting voice or not. So let me read it as it is. Let me know if I'm reading it wrong. Coupling. I will read it as coupling. Novelty and enthusiasm with intense fear and pain. She had applied this learned fear in her academic work, her employment, and even her personal relationships. The message was trying new things could result in disasters. She literally feared she would fall flat on her face if she took the kind of job she had worked so hard to obtain. Ah, okay. As with Allison, I taught Alan a specific way to remain present and safe in the face of her fears. She gradually found a way to move toward her excitement at school or with friends. Now, once fully embraced and examined, her fear could be properly located in time, acknowledged for the frightened. 3 year old's experience it was and woven into a new story. Now that she was no longer the prisoner of an unexamined past, Ellen could take charge of her life with a new sense of vitality and freedom. Working with patients like Ellen and Allison has convinced me that a dual focus is one of the crucial elements in trauma therapy. This simultaneity of conscious attention, in which you are focused both on the past and on your present day yourself. Re-experiencing the past is an active, engaged process that initiates a hippocampal assembly of those striven puzzle pieces. Let me check OBS if everything is going fine or not. Yeah, it's going fine. Working with patients like Alan and Allison has convinced me that dual focus is one of the crucial elements in trauma therapy. This simultaneity of conscious attention in which you are focused both on the past and on your present day. Self re-experiencing the past is an active, engaged process that initiates a hippocampal assembly of those striven puzzle piece of implicit only memory. Ellen's observing self could witness herself sensing the images and bodily feelings from the past, but in the presence of a trusted other who could tolerate the painful memories in this setting of emotional safety. The retrieved memory, because less charged, together we could identify her sensation as recollections, not as part of a new event, and she could then integrate the piece of memory into a larger, more coherent sense of self. Once the hippocampus could perform its integrated functioning, her memories could take their place in an active and open life narrative. The unfolding story of who Alan could become. Unexamined implicit memories can shape our beliefs and our expectations. Now we may be tempted to see these embedded emotional responses as intuition or a gut reaction that give us deep insight into our ongoing experience. Like Ellen, we may also justify them rationally, coming up with neuron plausible reasons for our reactions, but such automatic responses may instead be left over garbage from painful moment of our unexamined past, not worthy of being trusted to guide our decisions or actions. They can make us irrational work creeps, and they can tie us to painful past events that we had never intentionally choose to recreate. Right now what is happening now, I got one of message that I need to like have meeting with him, so I'm very confused about that. Should I go or should I continue? As I have already said that I am going to do live streaming every day in the morning, but I can like end this live streaming here and start my meeting. After that meeting I can have again live streaming. So is that okay? Like I'm really confused about it. Like it's been 30 minutes that I've been reading. It's not 30 minutes actually, it's 14 minutes only. So I'm very confused about it. That what should I do? Should I reply to him or should I go? It's very confusing because as you have taken challenge for every day and you are really working hard on it. Should I skip these things? Skip in the sense I'm not going to skip it. I'll be coming back again to do live streaming. Like it's my 15 minutes. 15 minutes right now. It's 8:21. Where I was seeing. Oh, actually in my iPad it's showing that 9:41 a.m. whenever I connect my uh, iPad with a MacBook Pro, then it says that it's like very much time. Yeah, it's only 15 minutes. Let's have some conversation. I'll be come back or what I have to do. I'm literally confused now. What should I do? Just give me a minute. I'm really sorry for inconvenience. At least I'll reply him so that I can see what is going on. Or should I reply or not? It's like he's my senior and I have to like he's asking for if I'm available or not. So what should I do? I'm not getting. Mm, 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 mm. I just said if he's going to be available after some time, then if he's not, I can connect now. So I'm really sorry if I'm going to like end this live streaming right now, but I'll be back within like 30 or 30 minutes. I'll continue doing. Let me read. Where I was reading, unexamined implicit memories can shape our beliefs and our expectations. We may be tempted to see these embedded emotional responses as intuitions or gut reactions that give us deep insight into our ongoing experience, like Ellen. We may also justify them rationally, coming up with numerous plausible reasons for our reactions, but such automatic responses may instead be left over garbage from painful moments of our unexamined unexamined past, not worthy of being trusted to guide our decisions or actions. They can make us irrational overgripes and they can tie us to painful past events that we had never intentionally choose to recreate. There is one more thing that I need to check. Oh no 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 no. I'm really sorry for this interruption. I started doing something else in between of my live streaming, which is not really good. Just had to check if Just seeing if you have backlog. I mean, the person is actually scheduling is already have backlog of work. Meaning the task tickets and with either are pending or unfinished. Let me know. Another meaning they will add. I have just texted. Let me see what it says. 8:24, but I'll read continually. I'm really sorry for that. But when we integrate those embedded experiences into our present consciousness and recognize them as implicit memories, not valued intuitions or reasoned decision, then we begin to offer ourselves the means to become awakened and active authors of our own life story. And as we will see in the next chapter how we came to make sense of our lives in another crucial form of integration. Making sense of our lives, attachment, and the storytelling brain. My colleague Rebecca came to her postgraduate medical training after a hard-won battle with a history of abuse. She was the fifth of seven children born to an alcoholic mother and a father with bipolar illness, and her family life was filled with chaos and instability. She never knew what condition her mother would be in from day to day. Her father refused mood stabilizing medication, current between mania and depression. When we were on a call together late at night in the hospital where we worked, she would tell me how her siblings. She had tell me how her siblings and she would hide in the attic where her oldest sister Francine would read them stories by flashlight while their mother raced downstairs. Francine would huddle with Rebecca, holding her and others and pretending they were camping out. During those emotional hurricanes, life was a nightmare, Rebecca said, and we never really knew when we would wake up. Yet, to me, Rebecca seemed incredibly calm, notable for her ability to handle complex situations, as both with our psychiatric patients and with our fellow residents, one on one or in intense group discussions. One day, I asked her how did she make it through. It wasn't easy. I remember her telling me, but besides my own sister, my mother's sister, they saved my life. And she helped me see that I wasn't crazy. And even when I couldn't go to my aunt's house, she was always there for me. I knew I was inside her heart. I will never forget that phrase, inside her heart. Rebecca's feeling that she was closely held inside someone else made all the difference. It wasn't until years later that I would come upon the research demonstrating how crucial it is to our development to have at least some relationships that are attuned, in which we feel we are held within another person's internal world, in their head and in their heart. Relationships that help us thrive and give us resilience. And only later still did I learn how the neural networks around the heart and throughout the body are intimately interwoven with the resonance circuits in the brain, so that when we feel felt by another, it also helps us to develop the internal strength of self-regulation, to become focused, thoughtful and resourceful. Being close to someone early in our lives gives us the clarity to know how we feel and the ability to feel close to others. Long before research began to unravel these neural mechanisms, poets and children like Rebecca knew that the heart is indeed a wise source of knowing. I forgot where I was reading. I have to read it again. For me, the explanation lies in some of the most exciting research done in psychology during the past 30 years, the ongoing exploration of early attachment. We have discovered that our early relationships shape not only how we narrate the stories of our lives when we reach adulthood, but also how our minds develop in infancy, childhood. First, I'll delve into these fascinating findings as they affect children, and then I'll show you how I apply the findings as I treat my adult patients. The initial stage of research was done with children during the first years of life. Trained observers made home visits throughout the year to assess mother-infant interaction, standardized rating scale. Then at the end of the year, each mother-infant pair was brought into the laboratory for a test that lasted approximately 20 minutes. Now, this test is known as the infant strange situation because it focuses on what happens when 1 year old babies are separated from their mothers and left in a strange situation, either with a stranger or alone. The idea is that separating a 1 year old from his mother is inherently stressful and would activate the baby's attachment system. The way he has come to connect with his primary caregiver, researchers looked at how the children reacted to the separation itself, and then how they responded when their mothers didn't. These studies have now been done thousands of times. Again, I'm reading the same, I guess, but let me read it. Sorry for my very, really, really inconvenience today. Like there are two people who is concurrently viewing. I'm really sorry that right now, like everything is sorted now. I can completely focus on the reading now, and I will talk to you only. There is only one concurrent viewers. Thank you very much who is staying with me. And the thing is that I really get distracted for now because sometimes what happens when you are like working in the sense, let's say there are two things, and both are very important for you, so you are really confused about what to choose between those two. But I choose to do live streaming instead of doing that because there were so many chances that they could adjust, the another person could adjust that okay is doing something right now, so he can connect after some time, or whenever he is available he'll be like we can connect and discuss about the thing. So I just decided to be on live streaming, like even though I was not a fully on live streaming, but I was being with that person, not with that person, but I was like looking for that person as well. Actually I'm like I was like talking something like that. It's not completely like that. I was only being here, but the thing is that like I was not able to concentrate here just because that I get something, and because that one thing I really get distracted. So in short, what I'm trying to say here, sometimes it's very difficult for us to choose the things, what to choose. Should we choose these or should we choose these? It's kind of difficult thing. So it happens sometimes, but I realized here one thing, that if you have some pre values related to the things, like let's say now your value is to give like 100% of your time. If you are doing something, if you have decided, then no matter what it is, whatever the thing is going besides, but you have decided that you are going to give, or you have taken the challenge, and like it's very important for you, then definitely you are going to be here only, like on live streaming, because it's your value, you are reflecting on your value. And so for you it will not so difficult to choose the things. You will like immediately choose what is what is higher, or what is in your priority list, that you are going to choose. So it's very awesome. So when you are going to have values, but let's say if you are not have values in the sense you don't know earlier that what you have to choose, if so certain things comes up like at that time, what you are going to choose. I'm not trying to say that you have to do, say the things earlier, it's not like that, but the thing is that you should have values. You should, in the sense, we should all have the values, then it will be very easy for us to choose the things between. So if I'm going to have value, like something related to my priorities here, if I'm going to decide that priority, let's say the thing for me, which is very important, is my growth. If I'm going to grow, then I'll choose my growth no matter what it is. Now at the moment I see my growth is growing, but there is something that is very instantly pleasant, or you are afraid of losing that particular thing instantly, and you are like you have to choose in between those, then definitely you are going to choose your growth, because in your priority list the growth is the highest priority. You have these values that if something comes up between these two, or these two things, then definitely you are going to choose only your growth. So that was the value, and just because of that value, like you won't be able to, you won't be much you won't be much distracted, you won't be much like confused. You won't be much confused that what you have to choose in between those. You are going to go directly and choose the things between, and you will not feel regret as well after certain period of time, even if that thing was good than this, because the thing is that your value was related to your growth, and you choose that growth, and that's it, because it was your value. The highest priority was to values, not a value, actually the particular thing that you wanted to do, and you choose that. So after certain period of time, you won't feel any regret for that thing that you lose. No, about two-thirds of children in the general population had what was called a secure attachment. The child showed a clear sign of missing the parent when she left, often by crying. He actively greeted her, usually by seeking direct physical contact when she returned, but then he settled down quickly and returned to his childhood task of exploration and play. Looking back at the home visit observation, these were the children of parents who were sensitive to the baby's beats for connection, who could read the baby's signals and then effectively meet his needs. Around 20% of the children demonstrated what was called an avoidant attachment. They focused throughout on the toys or on exploring the room. It showed no sign of distress or anger when the parent left, and ignored her or actively avoided her when she returned. What do you think the child's experience during the first year of life had been? As you may have guessed, home observation showed that the parent did not respond to the child's signals in a reliable and sensitive manner, even ignoring these signals and seeming to be indifferent to the child's distress. So the infant gradually learns something like this: mother doesn't help me or soothe me, so why should I care whether she goes or returns? Behavioral avoidance is an adaptation to this kind of relationship. In order to cope, the child minimizes activation of the attachment circuitry. Another 10 to 15% of children had what came to be called an ambivalent attachment. In this case, the first year of life was filled with parental inconsistency. Sometimes the parent might be attuned, sensitive, and responsive. At other times, Not. If you were an infant, how would you respond? Would seeking contact with this parent soothe your activated limbic distress? In the strange situation, the ambivalently attached infant often seems very or distressed even before the separation. She seeks out the parent upon reunion, but is not readily soothed. She may continue to cry instead of returning quickly to the toys, or she may cling to the parent with a look of concern or depression. Contact with this parent clearly does not give her a sense of relief, and there neither appears to be an overactivation of the attachment circuitry. In later studies, a fourth category of attachment was added called disorganized. It appears in about 10% of the general population, but in up to 80% of high risk groups, such as the children of drug addicted parents. It is quite upsetting to observe what happens when the parent returns. The infant may look terrified. He approaches the parent but then withdraws from her, freezes or falls down on the floor, or clings and cries while simultaneously pulling away. Disorganized attachment results when parents show a severe and terrifying lack of attunement, when they are frightening to their infants, and when they themselves are often frightened. The children in the other three patterns have developed organized strategies for dealing with a sensitive, disconnected, or inconsistent caregiver. But here the child cannot find any effective means to cope. His attachment strategies collapse. How do these things fit with our discussion of integration? You may have noticed that the energy and information move in a harmonious flow in secure attachment, tend toward rigidity in avoidance, toward chaos in ambivalence, and alternate between rigidity and chaos in disorganization. Now, only in the disorganized form does the flow move beyond the window of tolerance that I introduced in chapter 7, resulting in collapse in coping ability. In the remainder of the chapter, we will see now how these early patterns of behavior can persist as characteristics of the mind later on in life. Now, many of the first children studied in the infant strange situation have now been followed for more than a quarter of a century. Despite all the other influences on their development during that time, their personal characteristics tended to diverge in predictable ways. In general, the securely attached children were found to meet their intellectual potential, had good relationships with others, were respected by their peers, and could regulate their emotions well. Now, although the attachment researchers did not study the brain directly, these overall outcomes parallel our middle prefrontal functions in many ways. Securely attached children developed good bodily regulation, attunement to others, emotional balance, response flexibility, fear modulation, empathy and insight, and moral awareness. The ninth function, intuition, has not been studied yet. Child's brain. Predictable ways. In general, the securely attached children were found to meet their intellectual potential, had good relationships with others, were respected by their peers, and could regulate their emotions well. There is one thing that I came to realize. Sorry to disturb these. What do I get to know about one thing that let me tell you that if you are dealing with people in the sense there is people with whom you are working, and the thing is going like they are texting you, or they have some work with you, and you are feeling very fear of losing things, so you are just ready to say yes, 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 yes. But let me tell you one thing. If you are going to have your values in the sense, I'm trying to say right now, like you can, if you can say no and give simple reason in the sense, whatever you are going to do related to that particular thing, not you have to explicitly say that what you are doing, but you can, let's say right now I'm having challenge, reading challenge on this, but I don't have to say this, but I can say I'll connect with you after some time. Right now I'm doing some important personal work that to reflect on my growth. So likewise you can say, the thing is that what you have to say is you have to have some impression in your sentence. Impression in the sense, let's see, if you are going to say I am doing some important work related to my self growth, so here this thing represents that the person, whoever is working, he is working on his growth. So it shows that he is very concerned about his growth and all. He's really like positive in the sense, like, I'm not getting exactly, but the feeling is that what it is saying, it will have some impression on that another person, that okay, this person is working on something is very important for him, that is why right now he's avoiding this, whatever it is, so let's connect after a certain period of time. And be on your words, if you are going to say that let's connect after a certain period of time, in the end you can like give exact time, so that you are not missing, you are not like making promises false promises, in the sense you are not just making the things, oh I'll connect this time, oh I'll connect this time, that time. Likewise, it's not like that. You are giving a particular time and you are getting connected, so it will just give your importance to that person, that another person, oh this person is doing something, is very important, like something like that, but it makes some impression on another person. This is, I don't know about it. I'm not getting exactly how can I explain about it, but this is the thing. I'll after some time when I get good things, good vocabulary, good explanation, then definitely I'm going to explain these as well. If I do remember, if I'm going to see this video in future, then definitely I'm going to like explain this as well. In general, the securely attached children were found to meet their intellectual potential, had good relationships with others, were respected by their peers, and could regulate their emotions well. Although the attachment researchers did not study the brain directly, these overall outcomes parallel our middle prefrontal functions in many ways. Securely attached children developed good bodily regulation, attunement to others, emotional balance, response flexibility, fear modulation, empathy and insight, and moral awareness. The ninth function, intuition, has not been studied yet from the viewpoint of interpersonal neurobiology. This strongly suggests that secure parent-child interaction promote the growth of the integrative fibers of the middle prefrontal region of the child's brain. In contrast, those with an avoidant attachment to their primary caregiver tended to be restricted emotionally, and their peers often described them as aloof, controlling, and unlikable. Children whose primary attachment was ambivalent revealed a great deal of anxiety and insecurity, and those with disorganized attachment were significantly impaired in their ability to relate to others and to regulate their emotions. Further, many had symptoms of dissociations that placed them at a heightened risk for developing PTSD after a traumatic event. You may wonder, and I certainly did, couldn't this difference be genetically based? Most of these parent-child pairs share at least half their genes, so perhaps the correlation between attachment patterns and later personality can't be attributed to anything the parent did or failed to do. Studies have indeed established that the closer we are genetically, the more traits we share, now from intelligence and temperament to specific personality characteristics such as political orientation, cigarette smoking, and television watching. But one feature that stands apart from this list is attachment, and that's not just the opinion of the psychotherapy community. One of the leading researchers on the genetic of personality spontaneously made this statement at a national scientific meeting. Attachment patterns are one of the few dimensions of human life that appear to be largely independent of genetic influence. We can see this quite directly in those instances where a child has a distinct pattern of attachment to each of his caregivers. If attachment were genetically determined, how could the child signal a single set of genes allow for those differences? Furthermore, research with foster and adoptive children who are genetically unrelated to their caregivers has discovered these same patterns. Naturally, who we become as adults is shaped by many factors, including genes, chance, and experience, in addition to our earliest attachments to our caregivers. But anyone who doubts the influence parents have on their children must deal with these extensive studies of attachment. They demonstrate clearly that what parents do matters enormously. Why do we why do we parent as we do? When researchers asked this question, they hypothesized, as many of us would, that it is the childhood experience of parents that predict how they behave with their own children. This sounds plausible, but it turns out not to be quite right. When I first heard about what the researchers actually found, it changed my life and my understanding of the life of the mind. The best predictor of child security of attachment is not what happened to his parents as children, but rather how his parents made sense of those childhood experiences. And it turns out that by simply asking certain kinds of autobiographical questions, we can discover how people have made sense of their past, how their minds have shaped their memories of the past to explain who they are in the present. The way we feel about the past, our understanding of why people behaved as they did, the impact of those events on our development into adulthood. These are all the stuff of our life stories. The answers people give to these fundamental questions also reveal how this internal narrative, the story they tell themselves, may be limiting them in the present and may also be causing them to pass down to their children the same painful legacy that made their own early days. If, for example, your parent had a rough childhood and was unable to make sense of what happened, he or she would be likely to pass on word harshness to you. And you, in turn, would be at risk for passing it along to your children. Yet parents who had a tough time in childhood but did make sense of those experiences were found to have children who were securely attached to them. They had stopped handing down the family legacy of non-secure attachment. I was excited by these ideas, but I also had questions. What does making sense really mean? Now, how can we accomplish it? And now, how does it occur in the brain? The key to making sense is what the researchers came to call a life narrative, the way we put our story into word to convey it to another person. How an adult told his or her story turned out to be highly revealing. For example, people who were securely attached tended to acknowledge both positive and negative aspects of their family experiences, and they were able to show how these experiences related to their later development. They could give a coherent account of their past and how they came to be who they are as adults. In contrast, people who had challenging childhood experiences often had a life narrative that was incoherent in the various ways I described in the following pages. The exceptions where people like Rebecca, based on the facts of their early childhood, they would be expected to have an avoidant, ambivalent or disorganized attachment as children and an incoherent life narrative as adults. But if they had a relationship with a person who was genuinely attuned to them, a relative, a neighbor, a teacher, a counselor, something about that connection helped them build an inner experience of wholeness or give them the space to reflect on their lives in in ways that helped them make sense of their journey. They had what the researchers called an unsecure life narrative. Such a secure narrative has a certain profile. Now we can describe its feature. Even more important, like Rebecca, we can change our lives by developing a coherent narrative, even if we did not start out with one. This is such a crucial point that I'll repeat it. When it comes to how our children will be attached to us, having difficult experiences early in life is less important than whether we have found a way to make sense of how those experiences have affected us. Making sense is a source of strength and resilience. In my 25 years as a therapist, I have also come to believe that making sense is essential to our well-being and happiness. The adult attachment interview. The research instrument that measures how we have made sense of our lives is called the Adult Attachment Interview, or AAI. If I were to give you a version of the AAI, I would ask you a series of questions paraphrased like this. Now, what was your childhood like? Now, what was your relationship like? Now, with each parent, and were there other people with whom you were close as a child? Now, whom were you closer to and why? Now, I would ask you to give me several words that described your early relationship with each parent or caregiver, and then now I would ask for a few memories that illustrated each of those words. The question go on. Now, what was it like when you were separated, upset, saddened, or fearful? Now, did you experience loss as a child? And if so, now, what was that like for you and for your family? How did your relationships change over time? Why do you think your caregivers behaved as they did? Now, when you think back on all these questions, how do you think your earliest experiences have impacted your development as an adult? And if you have children, I would ask you these questions. Now, how do you think these experiences have affected your parenting? What do you wish now for your child in the future? And finally, when your child is 25, what do you hope he or she will say are the most important things he or she learned from you? That's essentially it. Answering this set of often-ended questions is like dividing deeply into areas of untapped memory. When I was doing research with the AAI, many subjects told me that the interview was the most helpful therapy session they had ever had. As a as a as a therapist, I found this especially amazing because the research protocol required that I be as neutral as humanly possible. Nevertheless, something about these questions repeatedly prompted new discoveries, even in individuals who had had years of therapy. If I had administered the AI to you in research setting, your responses would have been recorded and then transcribed. The transcription would then have been carefully analyzed by a researcher trained to code the result. We would be watching for how you presented the material, noting if the details of memory corresponded to the generalization you offered, keeping track of the unfolding of your story to see if it made a sense and held together logically, and observing patterns of response such as insisting you did not recall the past or getting confused between past and present. The transcription would also be assessed for how you monitor what you were saying as you went along, and how you took me into account as you spoke. Did you try to make sure that I understood what you were saying? In this way, the narrative analysis becomes as much an evaluation of interpersonal communication as it is a study of your own internal process. The thing is that I was thinking about that after a certain period of time, how I'll be, like how much growth I'll be having in me. Like, will I be able to speak very fluently, as if now I'm not speaking? Sometimes I don't get the things in the sense when I'm speaking at the time. I struggle to find the sentences or to construct a not a sentence but the thought that I want to explain for that particular thought don't get the vocabulary. So after a certain period of time, will I be able to improve myself? Like, will I be able to like have very good communication? I think so. I'll be having good communication, because as I can see my past videos where I was not able to speak very fluently, or not able to convey my thoughts in the sense, let's say I have to explain something, and for that explanation I need to have good vocabulary, good sentences, so that you could understand it. So yeah, I'm right now, as compared to before, I have good sense of explanations. I'm not making the filler words, I'm not saying like. There are lots of things that improved in me as of now. But why I'm saying this, because when I was reading at the time, I was thinking that will I be able to improve myself in the future, like after 60 days, how I will be looking, will it really help me in explanation, in a growing myself? So definitely yes, it will help me, because it usually helps me if you work on something, and if you are repeating it and you are reflecting on your past experiences, then definitely after a certain period of time you'll be able to get that growth. Sometime it gets, but I'm really trying to make the whole complete sentence, so that I shouldn't make any filler words. I shouldn't say like very much. I should be attached, not attached. I should be able to see. Right now I'm not like, there is one word that is coming into my mind, but I'm not able to pronounce, or I'm not able to take it out. That is how it works sometimes. So it's just practice that, now I understand. If I'm going to practice myself again and again, like I'm practicing right now, the way I'm practicing right now, the same thing if I follow, then after a certain period of time, definitely whatever the thoughts coming into my mind, I'm going to explain it very easily. If I attached, connected, there is one words, if I'm connected to this routine, if I'm attached to this routine, if I'm stick, see, stick, these words I have heard somewhere else, but when I was communicating with you, when I was explaining the things at the time, I was not getting stick words. I was about to say, if I stick to this everyday challenge, for at least 90 days, then definitely I will be having so much improvement in me, than right now I'm having. So this is how it will work. So there are some of the things that you don't get, because you don't have past experiences of those particular things, because you didn't explain those things, or you didn't use those words in your sentences. That is why might be you are not able to speak, you in the sense, I'm not able to speak the word which I wanted to really say, stick. If I stick to this routine, then I'll be able to improve myself, but I was not able to get that stick word. I was saying attach, connect, because somewhere in my mind I was having that word, but I was not taking it out. I don't know why it happens, but I'm realizing it right now, that I really wanted to say that word, because I was knowing about that what I have to say, but it was in my deep sense, but unconsciously I was not getting that what to say, but I got it. So if I'm going to practice it again and again, in the sense, if I'm everyday saying the things, if I'm everyday like talking with you, or doing my live streaming and trying to explain the things, then definitely I will be having all the things that I wanted to have today, because I'm practicing on it, I'm reflecting on it, I'm trying to think about it. If you are going to think about the thing, then definitely your brain works for that. Your brain try to find out the things, so that you will be able to improve yourself. So just try it out. Again, I'm telling, as I yesterday said, that if you tried something, then definitely for that particular thing you will be able to improve yourself, or that particular thing will be into you. So doing it regularly, it will help you. Again, I'm really sorry. I'm checking my mobile phone. There is one message that I want to check. The AAI evolution accepts that memory is fallible. Fallible. As you have seen, memory is not a photocopy machine, and it's a highly suggestible, readily conforming to others' expectations and to our own. Even at our most honest moment, we say things we think others expect to hear, and we say them in ways that make us appear as we want to appear. Now, for these reasons, the analysis does not presume the accuracy of the facts as stated. Instead, it focuses on the coherence of the story. This analysis of the responses to the AI questions reveals the adult state of mind with respect to attachment that turned out to be so powerfully predictive of parenting behavior and how the children of this adult responded in the infant's range situation. Later studies also revealed that child's attachment behavior in childhood predicted the type of narrative he or she developed as an adult. I'll be exploring these links in the remainder of the chapter. But here is a quick summary of the major categories. The correspondence of adult and child attachment. Adult narrative. Infant strange situation behavior. Secure dismissing preoccupied. Secure avoidant ambivalent. Disorganized, no, or disorganized, disoriented. Although there is a cause and effect relationship here, as mentioned earlier, the legacy passed down from parent to child is not necessarily destiny. As happened with Rebecca, now one can eventually develop an unsecure narrative despite having an insecure attachment and suboptimal experiences in early childhood. In new window on the mind, it's now 20 years since I first poured over narrative analysis sheets to learn to conduct AI research, but the AI still plays an important role in my everyday psychotherapy work with patients. Today I listen to my patients' narratives for an understanding that goes far beyond any statistical category, and I have discovered that they eliminate many layers of the mind, and AI questions help us explore how our childhood relationships shaped the pattern of our internal world, especially influencing our windows of tolerance and our capacity to reflect on our own internal world. Patients with coherent narratives have wider windows of tolerance and more vast mindsight skills. In other words, secure attachment seems to go hand in hand with integration. And if a patient is insecurely attached, the AAI helps me find ways we can work together to increase integration and create an earned security. Oh, thank you very much, whoever is watching me right now. You're very welcome to the live streaming. There are two people that are watching, so thank you very much being here. So just to let you know that every day I do live streaming at least for 91 days. I'm going to do it's everyday challenge that I have to do reading every day. And one more thing, something there is something that comes into my mind and I forgot what I was about to say, but very welcome. And besides that, I work on my personal growth as well, which I show here on every not on everyday basis, but beside like I do take challenges, and based on the challenges I work, I make myself growth. As of now, as you can see, I'm not good at the things, but I'm making. If you see my first video, it was not good, but if you see like the videos, all the videos, then you'll get to know that yes, somewhere I'm growing, somewhere I'm improving myself, somewhere it is getting, somewhere that thing is working for me. So this is how it is working. So thank you very much for being sting, even if you are like connected, not connected actually, if you are not, sometimes it's very difficult that I don't get the sentence because I don't have past experience, but definitely I'm going to get it, the things. But the thing is, what I'm trying to say here is that thank you very much as you joined my live streaming. That I was about to say, joined the live streaming, joined. I was used to this word, joined, but when I was forming a sentence or when I was trying to explain or convey my thoughts at the time, it was like I was not getting it. So sometimes it happens because of you don't have good past experience of explaining the things. But if you are working on explaining the things for a long time, then definitely you won't be having any trouble explaining the thing after a certain period of time. As you are saying right now, the thought which related to problem, I'm explaining it in a quite better way. So that is the thing that works. So just go and start live streaming or giving yourself challenges. That's how the thing will work. Okay, so let me read again. I guess where we were. Let me read start from first sentence because I forgot about it. Today I listened to my patient's narratives for an understanding that goes for beyond any statistical category, and I have discovered that they eliminate many layers of the mind. The AAI questions help us explore how our childhood relationships shaped the pattern of our internal world, especially influencing our windows of tolerance and our capacity to reflect on our own internal world. Patients with coherent narratives have wider windows of tolerance and more robust mind-sight skills. In other words, secure attachments seem to go hand in hand with integration, and if a patient is insecurely attached, the AAI helps me find ways we can work together to increase integration and create an earned security. In the following pages, I'll share patients' responses to the AAI questions and what they reveal about how they have made sense of their lives. I'll look at how the four categories of child attachment, secure, avoidant, ambivalent, and disorganized turn up in adult narratives. I'll also explore how caregivers window of tolerance directly shapes interactions with a child, and finally I'll consider now how we can move away from the rigidity and our chaos of insecure attachment and into the harmony and coherence of secure relationship. Now, secure mind as a touchstone. I'm really sorry again. There is one thing I forgot to say, that be connected with me. You'll get to know what the things I am doing, so that at least for 10 days you can have it. If you think that will be helpful for you, like if you wanted to grow, everybody wanted to grow, but the thing is that if you think that you want to implement something in you, let's say every day you have to exercise, or let's say you want to learn some skills, or let's say there is something that you really want to reflect on, then be connected with me. Just see for 10 days. If you feel it helpful, then you can also try the same thing and will reflect on the things that you wanted to do. Might be it will help, might be you'll grow. It's more like implementing the things in your life. I'm not giving any kind of information here. Eventually it's kind of information, but the thing is that it's not particularly dedicated video which is for information that I'm telling you to achieve this, please follow this 10 techniques, you'll be able to get the things. It's not like that. It's more like just try doing the things and see if it works for you or not. That is more like this channel is about. So thank you for watching, whoever is watching. Please do comment if you can, or chat. As a touchstone, unfortunately I'm not able to get its pronunciation because of some reason,
Touchstone.
because I have connected my iPad with MacBook Pro, my laptop. Might be just because of that I'm not getting the pronunciation, or I'm not able to hear it. I need to check it afterward. No, and it will be in my editing skill hours, because whatever I'm going to do related to YouTube, I'll count it as editing, because editing in the sense you just don't have to do editing means go in editing software and arrange the thing. It's not editing. You have to think more. You have to think how you can arrange the thing. There are lots of things. Editing in the sense you have to show people your feelings, your thoughts, you have to make them realize that what you are feeling or what you are seeing or what you are thinking about the things. That is the editing in my perspective. I don't know the exact meaning of editing. As a touchstone for our discussion. Let's listen to part of narrative that is very high in coherence. This is a story from my first book, The Developing Mind. Okay. My father was very troubled by his being unemployed for several years. I think that he was depressed. He wasn't very fun to be around. Now, I would go out looking for work. He would go. He had go. He would go. He would go out looking for work, and when he didn't find any, he would yell at us. When I was young, I think that it was very upsetting to me. I didn't feel too close to him. As I got much older, my mother helped me understand how painful his situation was for him and for me. I had to deal with my anger with him before we could have the relationship we developed after my teen years. I think that my drive today is in part due to how difficult that period was for all of us. Like many of us, this woman clearly had a less than ideal childhood, but she can talk objectively about the past, balance positive and negative influences, and reflect on how her understanding has evolved over time. She moves easily from her memories to her reflections on them, and she provides enough detail for me to grasp her experience. Not every secure narrative is this articulate, but as we turn to the accounts of less securely attached people, you'll see that even patients who are highly articulate in their daily lives can become incoherent when they start to tell their life story. You probably recognized some of the AI questions from my work with Stewart in chapter 6. Let's consider again how we answered my questions about this early life history. Even at age 92, he could readily recall facts about where he lived, the schools he had attended, major sporting events, and the make and color of his first car. Relationship issues, in contrast, had no place in the story of his life. Insisted he just did not recall childhood experiences with his family. What was more, Stewart stated that his family life had no effect on the way he developed, except what his parents had given him a good education. He seemed eager to move on. What is the next question? Now, how could Stewart know that his family experiences had no impact on him if he could not recall them? This is an example of narrative incoherence. It just doesn't make sense. In other words, Stewart had no evidence to back up his statements. Now, this was especially striking in an attorney, and it revealed a blockage in his narrative integration. The left hemisphere mediates the factual form of explicit memory, which he had in abundance. The right specializes in autobiographical details, which he lacked. Stewart's over-dominant left mode had drive to tell stories, but it was not getting the goods from the autobiographical right. As a result, he confabulated and made up a story filled with unsubstantiated initiated generalizations such as his childhood being average or fine. So the thing is here that if you really want to grow in the sense, if you really want to read, you can just listen to me, or you can just see my videos, so that you don't have to go, or like, if sometimes what happens in your mind, there is something related to reading, and you really wanted to read, but you don't get time, or you are just getting procrastinated up because of something, or there is some reason because of which you are not able to read every day. And so I would suggest one thing, like, you can follow, not follow, I can't say follow, but you can see the videos of mine where you can check yourself that if you are comfortable in the sense you are comfortable with these or not. Comfortable in the sense, let's say if you played a video, and in that video, if you are able to listen it, and if you are able to understand, or even if you are able to get the pronunciation, and you feel that it worked, then just see the videos, it will help you. Stewart revealed three characteristics of the AAI category called a dismissing state of mind: his lack of recall for details of his relational past, the brevity of his responses, and his instance that family relationships had no impact on his development in my own clinical observations. The dismissing state is often associated with left hemisphere dominance. Those with dismissing adult attachment were often children with premature autonomy who acted like little adults, reducing participation of the right hemisphere enables them to avoid overwhelming their narrowed window of tolerance for needing others. Leaning to the left is an adaptation, so that they do not feel the pain and a longing of missed connections. This is doing the best they can under the circumstances. Now, what kind of attachment do you think Stewart's son Randy had with his dad when he was a child? It's easy to imagine a father who provided well for his son but remained emotionally distant, who might engage him intellectually when he was older but ignored his feelings and had virtually no ability to pick up his non-verbal signals, having been raised by what his wife Adrienne I have pronounced it so many times. Adrian. Called the coldest people on the planet, Stewart likely had an avoidant attachment to both parents, and Randy was probably avoidantly attached to him. Yeah, this is how attachment patterns are passed from generation to generation. Luckily for Randy, he also had Adrian as a parent who would have been much more available physically and emotionally. The narrative of dismissing adults has a central theme. I am alone and on my own. Autonomy is at the core of their identity. Relationships don't matter. The past doesn't influence the present. They don't need others for anything. Yet, of course, their needs are still intact, which is why I was able to motivate Stewart to get more connected to his right hemisphere and ultimately to Adrian. Attachment researchers have monitored stress responses in the skin of adults during the AAI and of infants during the strange situation. Even when dismissing adults discounted relationships in their narrative, and even when the avoidantly attached child ignored the parents' return in the skin, test picked up subcortical firing that signaled anxiety. The child and the adult reveal a similar adaptation to shut down the attachment system. However, although their cortexes may have adapted with an avoidant and a dismissing stance, their lower limbic and brainstem areas still know that life is about connection. This unacknowledged drive was what propelled Stewart's therapy forward to that moment of meeting when he placed his hand over mine. For those never dismissing attachment narratives, integration is truly the blossoming of a seed that has lain dormant for decades. The newly developed right hemisphere becomes ready to participate in life and to invite the subcortical connections into the world. It can also link through the corpus callosum to create bilateral integrations. Integration feeling can now become as important as facts. Not everything is recovered. Individuals like Stewart tend not to retrieve biographical memories of childhood. These probably were never laid down, but their new narrative integration enables them to create a much richer social, autobiographical, and bodily sense of themselves in the present. Making sense goes way beyond having a logical understanding of past events. A coherent story involves all of our senses, head to toe. I could see this happening when Stewart read the journal entries to me, or when he told me that Adrian's shoulder message felt great. It is a wonder to behold, both for the people themselves and for those close to them. A preoccupied mind. Greg would panic when Sarah, his girlfriend of 4 years. Came home late from work without calling ahead to let him know plans. He was a handsome 35-year-old actor, and his sense of uncertainty and anxiety was in stark contrast to his public appearance of confidence and success. He frequently questioned Sarah's loyalty to him, so much so that she told him she was unable to commit to marriage because of his insecurities. Greg told me that he too felt hesitant, filled with doubts about whether their relationship would last. On the one hand, he knew that Sarah loved him. On the other hand, he didn't think he could trust what she said. Other women had left him in the past. Why would she be any different? Oh, I started 6 minutes later. When I conducted the AI with Greg, I was struck by how this intelligent and otherwise well put together person seemed to unravel at the edge of during the process. When I asked him what he remembered about his early relationship with his parents, this is what he replied. Well, that's not so simple. I mean, early on, I think my relationship with my father was fine. He used to play with me and my older brother on the weekends a lot, and that was good. But when I became older, say as a teenager, my dad couldn't really handle my independence. I kind of lost him, I guess, to his work, I suppose. But my mother was different. She would seem nervous when I would be with her sometimes, like worried about something I could never understand. It was kind of unnerving in a way that I think made me feel strange. I don't know if she was that way with my brother. I mean, she loved us all, but she seemed to favor my brother for some reason. When we would get into fights, even if I lost, she would yell at me. One time I even got hurt and she said it was my fault. Like last week, my mother came to town and visited my brother even though I live closer to the airport. I mean, she still likes him more, and he knows it. When we had dinner last night over at his house, she seemed so proud, so much more, I guess, than she does of me. She has kids, a wife, a house. I have my career, my apartment, a dog, and Sarah. Well, it's just not the same. I had asked Greg for memories of his childhood. But notice how his response slip into the present, so that he is suddenly telling me what happened only a week ago with his mother and brother. This is a different kind of incoherence from the blank spaces in Stewart's narrative, but it also signals an insecure attachment. It is characteristic of the AAI category called preoccupied, as issues stemming from the past to introduce. As usually it happens, my electricity get cuts off, so it's like thing, which is not good. Let me go back here again. Let me see. Error. YouTube not receiving the enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Again, my iPad is just trying to connect. Just a bit minute. I'm not able to hear me. Where is my live streaming? I forgot that my live I don't know if it's visible or not. Yeah, it should be working. Yeah, it should be working, but go back here. It's working now. I thought it is not working. So sorry for inconvenience in between. As you know that my light gets cut off. Light in the sense electricity, power every time whenever I do live streaming. So that is my one of the problem that I have to fix after 1 month. I guess I'll fix it after 1 month or this month. I don't know about it, but definitely I'm going to fix this. So where I was reading. Let me start reading it again from the second paragraph that we have here. When a child gazes into his parent's face, he is looking for a response that mirrors his own mind. When the communication we receive as a child is open and direct, receptive and attuned, we develop a clear sense of who we are. Our resonance circuits allow us to see ourselves in the face of another, and our mindsight lens develops with clarity. But what if that reflective mirror is distorted by the parents' own preoccupations and states of mind? Ambivalent childhood attachment is associated with a history of inconsistent parental attunement combined with episodes of parental intrusiveness. The child cannot see himself clearly in the eyes of his caregiver, and the result is a confused sense of self. The central theme of the preoccupied narratives is I need others, but I can't depend on them. Another way to understand ambivalent attachment is to talk about emotional engagement. A child like Craig is linked to his mother, but he is unable to become differentiated, to have a separate emotional life or identity. The mother's confusing responses, which are driven by her own anxieties, disrupt the balance between differentiation and linkage necessary for integration. Greg becomes filled with his mother's anxiety even when he himself is not feeling anxious. Whatever the internal state he began with, the state has molded his. Instead of two separate individuals who can find a reliable connection with each other, they have become entangled. His mother's inability to see him clearly, her confusions over what we can only imagine might be her own leftover issues merge into his own mindset lenses. Integration has been blocked, and Greg moves toward the edge of chaos, as in his extreme anxiety when Sarah is late. Now, Greg can't see Sarah as a separate person, one who may have any number of reasons for being late. He can only worry about what her being late says about her feelings for him. The key to growth for Greg lay not in blaming his mother, but rather in understanding the origins of his insecurities, so that we could work together to integrate his brain. There is a huge difference between an explanation and an excuse. Greg could grow in his capacity for intimacy by making sense of his life. My initial goal was to expand the capacity of his middle prefrontal region to monitor and ultimately to modify the hyperarousal of his attachment system. This was the opposite of the shutdown of the attachment system that we have seen in Stuart. Imagine that Greg is waiting for Sarah as the clock ticks past her expected time of arrival. Greg's leftover theme of emotional abandonment dominates his internal world, and he becomes agitated at moments of potential loss and uncertainty. Greg's mind bursts through his window tolerance, pushing him toward chaos. He is now in a complete panic. These leftover issues are now hard buttons, vulnerable points that preoccupy him and dominate his view of his intimate relationships. Now, to give him some relief from these feelings, I first taught Greg the basic exercise for integrations of consciousness using the wheel of awareness. I also taught him how to calm himself by focusing on his breath and realizing a safe place. Simply learning to soothe himself was an important step for Greg. Then resting in the hub of the wheel, which is a metaphor for the prefrontal region. He could distance himself somewhat from his right hemisphere intrusion of feelings, bodily sensations, and autobiographical images, rather than becoming swept up into his panicky feelings of insecurity. He could now begin to discern them as just feelings on the rim of the wheel. I also used the hand model of the brain to help Greg understand how his right hemisphere was flooding left and making his prefrontal region unable to cope. Now he could visualize the bilateral integration we were working on when he learned to just notice what his body's sensations were, to honor them without being terrified by them or trying to suppress them. Greg increased his vertical integration. As for his leftover issues about his mother favoring his brother, we were able to name the reality of implicit memory, to understand how the deep pain from his past had remained united by the hippocampus and could be triggered without his awareness, flooding him in the here and now with a sense of being unlovable. Having named it, Greg could also tame it. That is with his now stabilized attention, he could focus directly on these implicit memories and integrate them into more explicit forms. Craig came to understand that his doubts about Sarah were driven by his old feeling of emotional abandonment. These feelings were embedded in his implicit memory and dominated his right hemisphere here's data banks. Now, while he did not have flashbacks in the PTSD sense, Greg became aware that these intrusions of intense emotions derived from past events were still driving his life narrative today. And with his newly developed mindsight skills, Greg could begin the crucial process of disentangling disentangling his internal concerns from his external reality. His left mode could find a way to sort, select, and sequence his chaotic right mode data into a more coherent account of his life. Now he could explicitly pinpoint the origin of his worries, which enabled him to approach Sarah and their relationship in a new way. Several months into our work together, Greg proudly reported, Sarah told me that she thinks I understand her more, or at least I am trying to, and she thinks I am more settled. I think that is good for both of us. An unresolved and a disorganized mind. Sometimes childhood relationships leave us with more than leftover issues that preoccupy us and intrude into the present. When our experiences are terrifying and overwhelming, the mind may fragment and become disorganized. The very fabric of our internal world begins to unravel. We become disoriented and we are unable at times to maintain either a clear connection with others or a coherent sense of ourselves. If the past trauma or loss is not resolved, our internal narrative too will break down. If we try to tell our story to others, we may be overcome by feelings or images that have not found a place in the larger narrative of our lives. I flip out whenever he gets upset. Julie told me. Yuli, not Julie. Yuli told me she was trying to describe what was wrong in her interaction with her 2-year-old son. Now, Pythagoras, a 41-year-old high school mathematics teacher, she had come for therapy because she couldn't figure out the equation of how to raise her first child. She looked older than her age, and her somewhat disheveled disheveled. I need to check its meaning as well as meaning. I can check like this lookup and I'll be able to see the meaning. Untidy or disordered. But what about pronunciation? Right now I'm not able to hear the pronunciation. So I need to have something figured out toward this thing so that I can look why I'm not getting its pronunciation. Disheveled appearance pointed at the distress behind her wish for an equation that might solve her problem in some neat, organized fashion. Yuli's husband had been married previously, and his two teenage girls were in and out of house. No, but they weren't Yuli's concern. They just don't bother Dharmi, she said, not like Pythagoras, something about him just drives me crazy. Yuli knew it was normal for toddlers to start asserting themselves sometime between their second and third birthdays, but reading about the terrible tools hadn't helped her much. Her son's defiant and oppositional behavior still pushed all the buttons in her head and made her unravel at the seams. Yuli's response seemed more than a parent's concern about occasionally going down to the low road and losing her temper. She described a sense of herself falling apart. When Pythagoras resisted her, she would take him on, getting more and more agitated as they battled over toothbrushing or hair washing. Bedtime had become a night crisis, with Pythagoras running around the house and climbing out his crib. Hmm, where I was going here. Being out of his crib until Yuli was reduced to tears. It was hard enough being on the front lines of work, she said, but inside she felt like explosion were making it impossible to think straight. I feel like I become at first frightened and paralyzed, and then I'm afraid something will snap and I'll scream, or worse, I'll hit him. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Nothing Yuli had told me about Pythagoras made him sound like anything other than a feisty kid with an active temperament. Her husband didn't have the same problems handling him. He told Yuli he got a kick out of Pythagoras' spunk and said his son was all boy. This, of course, left Yuli feeling both put upon and alone. When I conducted the AAI with Yuli, she revealed some elements of both a preoccupied and dismissing stance. If we have had an ambivalent attachment with one caregiver, preoccupation can show up as intrusions of right mode recollections and emotions, disrupting our left mode's attempt to tell a linear, linguistic, logical, and coherent story. At times, Yuli's narrative sounded like Greg's. For example, she told me my mother was never there for me. At least she couldn't find the time to be only herself with me. I mean, she cares about me, but she is busy. No, more like she is distracted. It's odd. She began to address my question about her past relationship with her mother, but she quickly slipped into the present. The dismissing aspects of Yuli's story came out in her lack of recall for many details of her childhood, and in her statement that her childhood hadn't affected her much. Here again is the incoherence that we saw with Stuart. If Yuli can't recall the past, how can she be so sure it didn't impact her life? But something new emerged when I asked Yuli the standard interview question about times when she may have felt terrified as a child. First, she simply stared at me for a second. Then she said, "Well, I wouldn't say that I had scary experiences so much as I was frightened, but not that much. There were times, but it happened rarely. And this was when my father, who was an alcoholic, when he would drink and I would be at home and he would come in, say, late at night, and most of the time he would just pass out. But I would listen closely when the car pulled into the garage for how loud it was when he slammed the door. If he drank too much, he would just collapse, and if he didn't drink that much, he would just be talkative. Somehow I learned to gauge how much he had had. To figure out well too. Now one time, well, he had that amount just in the middle, and I don't know, he must have been fighting with my mother that night or something because she was usually home. But he was mad, and when I saw him in the kitchen, tells me, well, I think he has his knife, this butcher knife, but he's drunk, and I think he doesn't mean it to chase me. I mean, to say that I shouldn't be a teenager in the house, not to wear those clothes like that, whatever that means. I ran into the bathroom, but he broke it down, and I just screamed. I don't remember that night that much. Well, that was scary, I guess. Yes, I think Yuli could hardly get the words out. She was sitting right across from me, but I felt could no longer reach her. She seemed to retreat to a great distance, lost in her mind, filled with the terror of that time. She was no longer recounting her history to me. She was gone, reliving the past in what felt to me like a dissociated state. It's helpful here to recall the mechanism of dissociation that I described in chapter 8. During an experience that feels like life threatening, the flood of stress hormones and our internal state of terror and helplessness can shut down the hippocampus. The raw materials of implicit memory are not assembled into more integrated explicit forms. If our awareness becomes divided, as when we focus on some non-verbal, non-overwhelming aspect of the experience simply in order to survive. We may also encode trauma into this implicit only form. Such implicit memories may leave us prone to intrusive feelings, perceptions, behavioral reactions, and bodily sensations. A fight, flight, freeze response from long ago may remain in an implicit only state, ready for reactivation with minimal provocation under certain circumstances. When these implicit elements are retrieved with a specific trauma related to cues such as the tears and wells of an upset child, then our own buried distress rises up to flood our hair and our now experience. The trauma related cues may also be internal. Yuli's sense of helplessness in the face of her son's distress, her feeling of impotence to soothe him, may have powerfully evoked the feeling she had when her father came home drunk. Again, the brain is an associational organ. Neurons that fire together. Since the brain is also an anticipation machine, ongoing experiences prime the brain to make associational linkages outside our awareness. In Yuli's case, her toddler's anger and defiance in response to the inevitable no from his mother triggered in her state of fear bordering on panic. Her reactivity is not experienced as a recollection of any sort. Yuli's network of memory association implicit here because they were dissociated and unresolved led automatically to the fragmentation of her otherwise organized brain. A terrified child is faced with a biological paradox. Her survival circuits are screaming, get away from the source of terror. You are in danger, but her attachment circuits are carried out, go toward your attachment figure for safety and something soothing. When the same person is simultaneously activating the brain's go away and go toward message. This is fear without a solution and unsolvable situation. Here, the self of the child is not disconnected, as in avoidance or confused, as in ambivalent attachment. Instead, the child's sense of self becomes fragmented. This is called disorganized attachment. It is characterized by unresolved states of trauma and loss, and by the kind of dissociation that Yuli seemed to be experiencing. So let's summarize. The presence of unresolved trauma or grief in the mind makes for a narrative prone to disorientation and disorganization during those specific moments in the story that are related to the terror or the loss. Researchers call these an unresolved or disoriented patterns. Its theme is something like at times I fall apart, so I can't depend on myself. That's very amazing. I'm reading. I'm getting something. I don't know what it is. I was thinking one thing that the vlogger, video vlogger, who is like recording themselves and are talking in front of people, how they make the sentence. Might be they are genetically like that, because sometimes for me it's very difficult to convey the thoughts that I get, or I'm hesitant or something, even not here as well, but when I'm talking to someone as well. If I really want to explain my thoughts at the time, I really get stuck in the sense, like there is something that I don't have to say, something in the sense, the sentences I don't get the sentence. See, right now as well, trying to make form a sentence, but somehow I'm not able to form a sentence. There is something deep inside me, in my brain, that I want to convey in the sense, like I'm having that accurate thought what I really want to explain, but to explain that, it's sometimes like don't get. See, right now as well, I don't get. I don't know why it happens, but I'm working on it actively as of now. Like, this is my practice right now. Like, if I'm speaking with you, if I'm saying something, if I'm explaining the things, then it's eventually a practice that I'm doing. And there's one more thing. Let's say if I have to communicate with you, at the time, if I don't get the things, or if I don't get something or the thoughts that I want to speak, then I say, if there are lots of if that comes into my mind, and I'm noticing it here itself, because I want to improve this as well. If I'm going to say in video, I will remember it. I'm telling to my brain that, see, you have these things that you don't need to, because in order to have good communication, good explanation, you need to say in continuous way, in the sense, you don't have to say blah 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 blah, blah things continuously, but the things which is very simple, in a way, so that another person can understand it. That way you need to have your communication or explanation. You don't have to make sentence very fast, very uh, complex. Likewise, you just have it to be very simple, so that anyone who is listening to you will be able to understand, should be able to understand. I'm just checking if someone is joining or not, but no one is joining now. But it's very interesting, thriving on every day and making your YouTube in the sense, like why I say like I don't know. I say like, but the thing is that, yes, yeah, it's very important, to do every day the things that you have committed, so that your brain will feel that you have to do the things. You don't have to skip these, because it is important for you, for your grade. It is not for important for any other people, because yeah, that will make your growth, and your growth will be completely dependent on these, like how you behave, or what is your, what I can say, what is your decisions, actions, all those things. Based on your decisions and actions, your future will be matter. Your future will be matter. I don't know if you are able to hear me, but yeah, this is the thing. With unresolved trauma, an otherwise coherent story can suddenly become fragmented as the speaker breaks through the window of tolerance. This is a sign of disintegration. Similarly, a parent's relationship with a child may ordinarily be attuned and secure, but when a certain specific stressors arise, the holes in his or her ability to cope are revealed. The window of tolerance narrows dramatically and behavior falls apart. Under these conditions, unresolved states can create a low road reaction, and we fly off the handle or flip our legs. Yulia had good reason to fear that she might hit Pythagoras, or terrifying him by screaming at him. When such a low road eruptions are intense or frequent, they can be traumatizing for a child, and unless the resulting disconnections are repaired, the child may develop a disorganized attachment that mirrors the parent's own childhood experience. Hey, very welcome whoever is joined. Thank you for joining. I began an experience of slowly helping Yuli examine her experience with her father. When we started, she had no coherent narrative that could help to distance her from her implicitly encoded memories. There was no context that could help her understanding her reactions as remnants of terrifying past. Instead, they were the terrifying realities of her here and now relationship with her son. She was stuck on the rim of her mind, a will of awareness, completely out of contact with the mindful presence of the hub. As Yuli and I explored the connections between her past and present, certain narrative themes began to emerge. She saw that feelings of being out of control with Pythagoras actually came from her experiences with her father. Feelings of betrayal also emerged in her therapy. Betrayal not only by father but also by her mother, who had turned a blind eye to the abuse Yuli suffered during her father's drunken rages. She had many reasons not to remember the details of those times, which no doubt contributed to the dismissing elements of her narrative. No wonder she had taken refuge in her left brain and in the abstract world of mathematics, but now she was beginning to see the logic and history behind her previously irrational and inexplicable reaction to her son. During this period, Yuli joined a group of mothers with toddlers and found their shared perspective with its mixture of exasperation and humor very helpful. She also attended uh, Al-Anon meetings, which helped her to understand and share the experiences she had had with an alcoholic father. But Yuli seemed to benefit even more from the internal work of mindfulness practice and journal writing. Writing in a journal activates the narrator function of our minds. Studies have suggested that simply writing down our account of challenging experience can lower psychological activity and increase the sense of well-being. Even if we never show what we have written to anyone else. One day, Yuli came to our station and told me that her son had a tantrum. Then she said, I could see my meat getting ready to blow. Seeing Pythagoras' furious faces becoming literally my father's. I knew then that I was in a trouble. I was seeing double. After writing about this encounter in her daily journal entries and choosing to reflect on it during her mindfulness practice, she began to see such challenging moments as opportunities. Several weeks later, she commented, I know this sounds crazy, but I am now grateful to Pythagoras for being as strong as he is. I have to take care of my own issues, heal myself, and not fall into that pit of seeing this as his problem and not mine. I know there is a work to do, but I think I know the way to begin now. Therapy widened Yuli's window of tolerance so that she could bring her terrifying right hemisphere images into relationship with her left brain's ability to understand them. Their therapy also gave her an external source of safety, protected space, and a personal connection with someone. Her therapist, me, whose goal was to help her see her mind without distortion of the past. This was essential at first, although she gradually learned that her support group, her friends, and her husband could be a source of sustenance as well. And as the hub of her mind strengthened, she could draw the raw data of her experience from the dream and assemble them into the coherent story of who she was and who she wished to be. Having the courage to approach and not avoid her past trauma allowed her to become free of its implicit grip on her mind. Yuli harnessed all the other domains of integration we have discussed so far: consciousness, vertical, horizontal, and memory. In order to achieve narrative integration, she could now become truly present in her own life, and it was a fine thing to watch Yuli gradually gain confidence in herself as a mother. She was learning that she could indeed depend on herself. It is not only Yuli who will benefit from this healing process. Pythagoras will be able to form a secure attachment with her, and this will be a source of resilience for him throughout his life. Newly will have stopped the passage of abuse and terror from one generation to the next once and for all. This is why Mindsight is important, not just for our own well-being, but also for what it enables us to give to our children and others. It is never too late to heal the mind and to bring to ourselves and to those around us the compassion and kindness that arise from that healing and integration. Actually, I'm getting sleep because, as I told you earlier in starting, that I slept like only for, I guess, 4 hours. I slept around 3 o'clock and waked up early in the morning, like 4 o'clock, and it's, I guess, a 4 hour. Yeah. So that is why like my eyes are like paining or hating. Not hate. What I'm saying. Sometimes it's like I don't understand if I'm focusing on something, then I don't understand what I'm saying. So it's like I have to concentrate on the things in the sense I have to see like to you. I have to talk to you. Then only I'll be able to communicate what I'm trying to say. So okay, besides that, we are almost up to end to our today's live streaming of challenge 91 days reading challenge, and it was ninth day. It was very awesome that we have completed this challenge, 9 days of challenge as well, because every day matters, a single day matters. If you are completing a single day, then you will feel good about yourself, that oh, you can do the things, oh, you have completed it, oh, you have talked to people. It is not only Yuli who will benefit from again sometime what happens if I say something and suddenly I started reading it. This is my habit, so should like make you aware of that. Oh, I have completed whatever I said, let's read now. It is not only Yuli who will benefit from this healing process. Pythagoras will be able to form a secure attachment with her, and this will be a source of resilience for him throughout his life. Yuli will have stopped the passage of abuse and terror from one generation to next ones and for all. This is why mindset is important, not just for our own well-being, but also for that it enables us to give to our children and others. It is never too late to heal the mind and to bring to ourselves and to those around us the compassion and kindness that arises from that healing and integration. So I read it again. I don't know why did I read it, but I read it, lighting up our lives. When we see the mind of another person, we bring the qualities of being present, curiosity, openness, and acceptance into our relationship. Ships. Now, these qualities seem to me to be the essence of that overused, often misunderstood word love. I propose that this stance of curiosity, openness, acceptance, and love is at the heart of secure attachments, and this stance is the felt sense you pick up from a coherent narrator's relationship with himself. Self-compassion and self-acceptance emerge quite seamlessly from the secure attachments that are the result of consistent, continuous, and caring connections with our caregivers in early life. But they can also emerge from an unsecure attachments, as with my friend Rebecca, who had such a difficult tool. When Rebecca says, we feel that we are inside the heart of another, the candlelight of love glows within and illuminates our lives. I'm seeing the time again and again because it's almost end, like it's 2 minutes, not 2 minutes even, it's 1.5 minutes that I'm going to be live. Only after that our 2 hour will be completed and I'm going to end this live streaming, and we'll see you tomorrow or in the next video. So everything is going very fantastic. No, I'm thriving on my goals, not goals, I can see challenges every day. and it makes me feel very good about myself that, oh, I did it, I am able to do the things. That's the thing I can do. I can do anything. Likewise, the thing, it happens with me whenever I do something. I feel very good about myself. I feel very confident about myself that I am doing the things, I'm completing the things, I'm not getting overwhelmed by it because I don't know how to do it. Let's say right now, as of now, I don't know being a good YouTuber, how to be a, like, how to record or how to do the things and all those things. I'm just learning all those things, and it just make me feel very good about myself that I start the thing, I complete the thing, I make it happen, and eventually the thing is goes like things goes very good, like which people likes. It's not all about my YouTube, but in other areas as well. If I started doing it, first I felt very bad about it. Bad in this is like I don't know how to do the things, but after a certain period of time doing this again and again, I feel very good that, oh, literally first time when I see it, I was not getting it, but eventually I get it and I feel it very good about it. So that's it for today. We have completed our goal, not a goal, a challenge, no, of challenge. What I'm saying, sometimes it's very difficult, as you know, but this sentence I'm not gonna say again, and sometimes it's very difficult, sometimes I'm gonna make the things, I'm gonna say the things which I want to say, even if it's not good, not good, even if it's not correct sentence, I'll make it correct at the moment. So that's it for today. It was our ninth day of our 91-day challenge of reading. See, now I get it perfectly. So it just takes some time, it just takes some practice, and you will be able to make yourself good at the things. So you don't have to say the things like you don't know, you don't get the things. You should always say the positive. That's it for today, and very much thank you for today's being with me or watching this you not YouTube, watching this video at the moment or whenever you are watching and completing it. Thank you so much, and I'm going to end this live stream for now and see you tomorrow or in next videos. Thank you very much. Bye bye.